Anyway, enough good news. I'm sick and tired of us talking. What are we doing? We're talking about positive stories. What's that about? Let's move on to bad news, okay? Paw Patrol. Have you seen Paw Patrol?
No. Actually, my little nephew, he's not so little now, but when he was just a toddler, he loved Paw Patrol. And that's the only exposure I got to it. I never actually watched the show. He would have the little toys. But Paw Patrol, if I'm remembering this correctly, went through, I think they went through, maybe not by their own fault, but there was a controversy after the police riots and things like that.
Really?
The anti-police riots. They talked about getting rid of the show because they thought it was offending sensitive people. So
Because they had police dogs.
Because they had police dogs.
And that's offensive. Well, unfortunately, we're not going to be defending Paw Patrol today. So, yeah, I mean, it's a children's show. I've seen it on whenever kids are watching it a couple times, and it seems very adorable. No big deal. Doesn't seem like there's anything controversial about it. In fact, yeah, like you said, people were upset about it because it was too conservative, because there's dogs that are dressed as police officers. And then there are dogs that are firemen, military, I think, construction workers, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the story, though. Reported by Catholic Vote, Nickelodeon has hired a far-left activist who reads pro-LGBTQ and pro-abortion books to children on YouTube to be a writer for a spin-off of the popular children's show Paw Patrol. Rubble and Crew is the newest installment of the widely successful Paw Patrol franchise, which in 2020, Paramount called a multi-billion-dollar business. I didn't realize Paw Patrol was that popular.
Oh, it's humongous. These kids shows, you get the licensing for the toys, for all the accessories. They're humongous. And you know what? I actually share a little bit of experience with these shows because when I lived in Burbank, not many people know this, but actually Burbank is the entertainment capital of the world. All of the studios are there, including Nickelodeon. I had a lot of friends who worked in the animation industry. And overwhelmingly, the thing that they told me all the time was like their huge problem with it was there was always leftists who were really concerned about all kinds of different issues, cultural issues, and they would inject them into the show. And some of them were like, they're a little subliminal. Other times it was very heavy-handed. And my friends would have a hard time because, they were Catholic and they were trying to, be Catholic in the world and struggling with these studios and the things that they were doing. It was always a huge problem. But Nickelodeon especially.
Nickelodeon especially, really?
Especially Nickelodeon.
Interesting. Wow. Well, the story goes, the media company's flagship show airs in 170 countries, reaching 350 million households. Well, Paw Patrol began in Canada 10 years ago. I didn't know it was Canadian. It is a television series. They have films and popular toys, so you just mentioned the toys. Lindsay Lenz-Amer, an LGBT activist YouTuber with no known previous experience writing for television, was hired to write an episode of the new spin-off show. Amir said on Instagram that the franchise brought on her as a, quote, to consult on the first non-binary character. Why are we worried about dog sexualities? They're animals. They're dogs.
What are you going to tell me next, Adrian? That dogs don't go to heaven?
Dude, are you trying to get mad at me? This is the most absurd thing ever. The fact that they are animals. Why does there need to be sexuality involved in a TV show for kids about dogs? Not to mention, it's not like it's a show about adult dogs and anthropomorphic, so they're just having normal relationships because they're adults. They're children. If this was like Rugrats and you had like a non-binary Rugrat, you'd be like, wait, they're babies. Why do they have a sexuality at all? This is pedophilia. It's absurdity. Absolute absurdity. It makes no sense whatsoever. And there's going to be and I hope that there is a major backlash. They have so much to lose. Paw Patrol has so much to lose. If they just lose, if parents don't buy their toys, don't buy their lunch boxes, don't watch their movies, tune out of their show, they have so much to lose and very little to gain by this. And they're trying it out with one episode, so let's see it get smashed to smithereens. We've already been able to show that this is a real, actual effect that we can change with Disney boycotts, with Bud Light boycotts. We can actually do it if parents care enough. Because so many times it was simply, oh, but I don't want to drive an extra 10 minutes to go to Walmart, or I just don't like Walmart, so I'm not going to go to Walmart instead of Target because Target's just more convenient. Oh, but I like Disney stuff, so I'm going to keep going to Disney. Or oh, but I'm used to drinking Bud Light. No, if we actually just change these small little habits, we can actually show that we actually can have an effect. Now, Matt Walsh, he responded to this saying, one of the biggest distinctions between shows that are made for adults and shows that are made for children is that you rarely hear much about the people who make the shows for children, wrote Matt Walsh. He goes on, studios go out of their way to promote the latest Christopher Nolan film or the latest action movie director by Michael Bay or James Cameron. Adults are expected to buy tickets to see these films primarily on the basis of the famous people who worked on them. But when it comes to productions that are intended for children, you're left in the dark. You're not really supposed to know anything about the people producing those shows. Instead of those productions are marketed directly towards children, usually with the help of cutting-edge animation and CGI. Parents aren't told anything about who's putting this stuff together behind the curtain. That's true. Are we going to continue down that path? Or are we going to start waking up and watching to see what is going on and know what our kids are watching and who is making it? Who is trying to brainwash your children? Let's be aware. More on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss what's coming next. Rudy, do you want to just make everybody mad?
No, not really. Not on purpose.
You brought it up. And
No.
during the break,
Did I?
we were talking about whether or not animals go to heaven. And you brought it up, man. You brought it up.
All right.
There's the famous movie, All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not true. All dogs don't go to heaven.
That was a documentary.
That was a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
They filmed their souls going to heaven. No, animals don't go to heaven. Animals do not go to heaven. They do not have eternal souls. They don't have rational souls. They have purely sensitive souls. So when they die, yes, it's sad if our dear furry friends die, but that's just it. When they die, they die. Their body goes into the dirt, and their soul dies with their body. But
I like to think that, in the new heaven and the new earth, there will be dogs, but just
Probably.
not the ones that we think are going to be there.
yeah,
Like Honey.
Your dog won't be
Or
there.
Bubble. Or what other dogs have it? Nacho.
Nacho. Definitely Nacho. Nacho will be there though.
Nacho was a good dog. We named him Nacho because he was a Shar-Pei. He's a Chinese dog. And they have these tiny little Dorito-shaped ears.
That's funny. Well, the thing is, if you love your dog or your animal, you would not want your animal in heaven. Why? Because animals can't contemplate the truth. Animals are purely sensitive beings. And so what would they do in heaven? Especially without their bodies. What would they do in heaven? Because animals only act based on their bodies. They don't contemplate the good. But in heaven, that's all you're going to be doing is contemplating the good, the true, and the beautiful. You'd be contemplating God. You would gaze upon the beatific vision and bask and enjoy the beatific vision. Animals can't do that. So it would actually be torture for an animal to be in a situation where they're pure spirit because they're sensitive souls. They're based off of what they can see, hear, touch, and eat, which is why they're very loyal to their belly. It's simply the case. And then people say, oh, my dog loves me. It's like, actually, your dog doesn't love you. It has affection for you, but it doesn't love you, because to love is to will the good of the other, and dogs don't have wills.
Hang on, I'm confused here. Wait. Are you talking about your dogs? Like your friends?
Your bros?
Your bros?
Yeah, no.
Or are you talking about animals?
Well, those dogs, so DAWGS.
My dogs.
they have the potential to go to heaven.
Isn't that? I think that's like the type of friendship you want to have. The kind of friends you want to have are the ones that are going to be there in the beatific vision with you, adoring the Trinity.
Oh, of course. 100%.
That's the kind of friendship we should strive for.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So will we see an episode of Paw Patrol on this topic?
Probably.
I think so.
Once we become writers, move to Burbank, take over Nickelodeon.
We should do that. Let's go move to Burbank and take over Nickelodeon. That sounds it sounds pretty easy, right?
What's the name of that dog? The main character of the show? Well, he left the police force and he realized he had a vocation. He became a Thomist, and now the show is about him actually being a Thomist.
Yes. He became a Dominican, which is a hound of the Lord.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, here we go.
Right.
This is the pieces are falling together.
Yep, the juices are flowing.
All right, if you want to donate to our construction of our new TV show, just kidding. There's no. I'm not committing to doing that. That sounds like a lot of work. Credit to TV show, but we do need people to make content for kids.
Oh man, there's some good ones I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Benjamin Cello
Okay.
on Formed. That's through the Augustine Institute, which I think you can log in for free if you have almost every parish has an account with Formed. So Benjamin Cello, fantastic. A former EWTN show, I'm not sure if they've revived it or if there's something in the works. I hope they are, because it's a fantastic show called The Friar, which is an English dub of a Spanish show that they had in Spain, obviously, called La Casa sobre la Roca. And it's just like the most amazing show. I love it. There's so many good little tidbits that your kids can pick up. What else is there that we watch? Well, there's a secular one that we watch. I'm not going to promote the secular one. But, the story, Adrian, of, these kids' shows, and Matt Walsh is right, we never hear about the writers, the artists, or anything like that. And I shared a little bit about this because I had personal experience with people who worked in that industry. But otherwise, you would never hear about these people. And it makes you really stop and think about the free and open access that we give these people when we put our iPad in front of the kid and we just walk away. It's very dangerous for us to do that. In fact, the reason why I'm not mentioning the secular program is because, the other day, what seemed to be a very safe show, it turned out to be that there's a little bit of insidious kind of roundabout ways that they're saying strange things on the show. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this just open access to any sort of entertainment. It's very dangerous for us to do that with our children. They're very impressionable. They can pick up a lot of things from these shows.